Cloud Kingdom.
You know, now that I think of it, I think that may be my favorite map intro. The music, the shots, those are really cool. So,
yeah.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on Cloud Kingdom. And down in the bottom left-hand corner, down 0-2 at the moment. The winningest member of Fight Club history, trying to bring it back. He is... HyuN!
Awesome.
Oh, yes, absolutely. What a player there. Certainly wishing for him to come back. Looks like it's 50-50 vote split between these two players at the moment. Continue to vote on your IPL iOS app. And his opponent here in the upper right-hand corner is our Blue Terran player, native of Austin, Texas. He is... Polt! And I want to give a shout out to the guy that's doing the player name intros too, Josh. He's the guy who's he's one of the two you always don't see behind the scenes, but is running the shows usually for our StarCraft 2 daily content on a regular basis. So, an aspiring voice actor.
He's got a lot of potential.
Yes.
I think you're the one who needs to say that, though, Kev. All right, so kicking it off here on Cloud Kingdom. Daybreak. I almost said it, Kevin. I almost said it.
We've already done Daybreak. It's not going to be for another few games now. I'm a little surprised Polt actually didn't 2-racks on this one. It's a very popular 2-racks map. He's very good at it. He does a lot on this and Ohana especially. And he's up 2-0. You can certainly start to take risks and do things to just kind of throw your opponent off. But it may be a matter of, well, if you're winning without using that anyway, why start?
Yeah, it's Polt and Tasia we see 2-racks is so often on this map. That SCV is down to just 5 hit points, but won't be able to get it. Drone is, well, not very decisive. He was like, I'll go back and get him. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'll go back. No, okay. And now he's going to be chasing this guy who is headed back home. So at this point, pretty standard openings out of both players. It looks like we're going to have that expand once again out of Polt as he moves the SCV onto the low ground.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And once again, HyuN has opened up with a quick gas, not quite as quick as we saw the last couple of games. It wasn't the gas first before pool was started to get either that instant zergling speed or gun it for layer tech or anything like that. But it was hatch into pool, into gas right afterwards. He's going to get up either speed or roaches very quickly and try and put on, if not pressure, at least get map control.
All right, so Overlord comes forward, sees the command center being constructed. Pool has now completed the spawning pool for HyuN, so he's going to be able to make queens and zerglings. And with his gas, once again, it's a little bit slower this time around, but we will likely be seeing the third queen, or it could be a really, really fast third hatchery. Cloud Kingdom, not the worst map to do that on. There's really good opportunity for surrounds and things of that nature, and it's just really difficult for Terrans to actually be able to take the third out. We've seen a lot of players use aggression. Scarlet, for instance, at Dice versus Illusion, but or backwards. But yeah, it's not easy.
No, not at all. Especially because of the way that, just a couple of siege tanks well-positioned can actually watch both bases as well, the third and the natural. So it's a very defensible map. Usually does go a little bit longer if you don't see something like heavy cheese at the beginning of the game. Polt's open pretty similarly to the way he did in the first couple of games, though. I wonder if we're going to see that second factory constructed again and another movement to those Blue Flame Hellions right away.
Yeah, it was really surprising seeing HyuN actually fall in that last game after how well he held off those Blue Flame Hellions. Most of the time, when you see a Zerg player hold off that build so extremely well he lost a queen.
Yeah.
He lost a queen, and a couple of Zerglings, and killed about, 9 Hellions or so. So, held that off so well, but still managed to fall. And Polt actually pulling a HyuN right there. Did you see that?
Yes, letting that burn to the ground. I was actually going to say, I wonder if HyuN does the same thing. He always used to take his queen, shoot down the neutral supply depot, and then walk away just before it died and would let it burn to the ground. But it looks like he's just going to outright kill it this time.
I wonder if that's, a little bit of an omen there. There is the quick third we were talking about out of HyuN, and he did, in fact, I think he's still sitting on 2 queens, right?
Yes, he is.
So...
yeah, so this is
not too unanticipated here. I wouldn't be surprised for Polt to expect this.
We're actually kind of getting a glimpse back at the original HyuN build here a little bit. We have just sub 6 minute third hatchery. Roachhorn following that up, usually makes a little round of those, puts 2 evolution chambers to block this off up at the front, goes to Bailings at about 7.5 minutes, makes his way up to layer, and eventually starts making his way towards heavy infester counts. That was his tried and true build when he was the reigning Fight Club champion for all those months. Now, obviously the game has shifted quite a bit. I don't think he'll be going for the exact same build, but that was the traditional HyuN ZVT build.
I mean, he did it in that practice game versus Polt, and that was the game he won. So far, he has yet to win a game in this set. He's currently down 2-0. And Roach is on the way right now, just 4 of them at this point. We'll see if there's some additional Roach is queued up here. Lair starts. No Evo Chambers, notably. A lot of times we see the Evo Chambers as 1-1 drops and a Baneling Nest, he starts Lair. But here he's going for a much quicker Lair.
And starts one Evolution Chamber. Looked like he was thinking about a second, but decided not to. Hatchery does finish up. It'll take about 1.5 years for those Hellions to kill it, so not really. Oh, very nice attention to detail right there. I don't know if you saw what just happened, but Polt took his Hellions off the Hatchery because they're not going to kill a Hatchery. Moved over to the larvae because the larvae do actually die to Hellions pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So HyuN saw that, immediately queued up a drone to turn it into a Cocoon, which is very resilient against Hellions. So all that happened in the blink of an eye, and very cool stuff from our players.
Yeah, Larva's super squishy. It makes sense. Cocoons. I mean, there used to be an ability called Cocoon on Metapod. Made you very defensive.
It's not very effective. Well, this is a very familiar Wings of Liberty attack coming out of Polt. He's got a bunch of Hellions, 8 of them as a matter of fact. He's got 1 Banshee for DPS, and you can navigate around quite a few Spore Crawlers and Roaches with this, but it's going to be a little bit harder here because HyuN is pretty well prepared. He's just got to make sure that he doesn't get kited to death.
Yeah, he does. You know, he's got the creep spread in between both of his bases, so if any sort of emergency happens, he can run his queens over from his natural. He's actually got 1 position. Macro Hatch going down in the main. This will let him make more and more units as it's going to provide him with more larvae. And we see an infestation pit going down as well. So Carapace, Infestors, and Roaches here as Khalil Reconstitution is started up.
Yeah, so quite a few upgrades coming online for him, though there's that infestation pit as you mentioned before, so he's really going for high tech here in just a bit. Nice move here by HyuN as that Overlord was being killed to turn into an Overseer, and he's going to move it in there and get a little bit of vision as to what's going on.
He needs to see the barracks though, and I don't know if he's going to be able to. He has no idea that Polt is actually going for bio, and he doesn't see the barracks, he misses it. Oh, by less than a hex, Kevin, and now he's in the dark because I mean, we're seeing him go for Carapace here, okay?
Yeah.
And, you know, going for the Carapace indicates, I'm not too sure what you're going for. I don't really want to start my melee, and I don't want to start my ranged. Is he going to start the range now? He just completed a 2nd Evo.
I hope not, because if he's already committing to Infestors at this point, obviously Infested Terrans don't get the advantage of that upgrade anymore, so it's almost a wasted upgrade. And there it is, melee. So he's going to be going to higher tech, whether it's Ultralists or Broodlords, all are going to be able to take advantage of that of that melee attack. Never mind the awesome Adrenal Gland supported Zerglings later on.
Yep, so now he's in a position where he's going to have the right upgrades this time around, but notably, once again, Polt is really focusing on his upgrades. 1-1, almost completed. Siege Tech, Stim, all about to wrap up. This is a really cool timing in terms of upgrades out of Polt, but he doesn't seem to have the units that he wants to go for any sort of a push, but his upgrades are very nicely lined up, and he's going to have a nice peak in strength here in a second. Yeah,
and he's done a good job as well as keeping vision up of what Polt's doing. Polt, on the other hand, has a very strong conventional army. He's still, even though we didn't do any economic damage at the beginning with these Hellions, it's always kind of one of those trade-offs. Sometimes players commit too much with the Hellions. They kill a few workers, but then they lose all 800 minerals that went into to those Hellions, and they really wish they had them against mid-game Zerglings whenever they're pushing out across the map. But in this case, Polt didn't get any damage done with them, so he has them all, but they have kind of been dead weight up to this point.
Yeah, they've let him hold a map control to a certain degree, but he isn't really contested for it. There's a Changeling holding right now, and well, Changelings are one of the easiest units to take map control from.
Oh yeah.
On the Zelnaga Tower, and another one actually infiltrating Polt's base right now. We'll see if he spots it. 3rd does get vision, and he sees the gases go down at the 3rd, which is really, really nice for HyuN. Siege Tank will take out the Changeling.
Well, that was a very dramatic way to pick that apart. Not going halfway, not a Marine coming up and shooting it, or even an SCV can just walk up and just punch a Changeling to death, but he had to blast it apart with the Siege Tank. Polt, though, going up to 6 barracks for the time being. He's got multiple factories coming online, so really investing in his infrastructure. That's what you can do on this map. We talked about it before. Remember when I said a couple of Siege Tanks in between the bases will let you hold both your 3rd and natural very safely? Well, that's exactly what's happened. Polt's playing defensive. He's playing for the super late game.
But a full surround on these Hellions establishes a nice start to this engagement for HyuN. He's falling back now, seeing if he can catch these units of Polt out of position. Beautiful fungal.
Yeah, great job. 2 fungals going to finish those off very easily.
And both those medevacs will go down. Marines were thinking about coming and help and then decided better of it, which I think with all the siege tanks, so strategically positioned defensively, definitely the better call here. But HyuN, he can just macro right now because Polt is not in a position to push out quite yet. His siege tanks are all over the place. He's throwing down a couple extra barracks to be able to supplement reinforcements. But we could see him push out, as 2-2 is getting ready to complete.
You know, when I was talking before about Polt really wanted to sit back, he wanted to tech up and things like that, he can play for the late game because he can be very defensive. It comes with a bit of a caveat, though. He wanted to get out there. This was all designed around to get out there with a timing that would actually make its way in before Broodlords or any sort of Tier 3 tech would happen. Polt no longer has that luxury. He lost so many units now that HyuN can throw away Zerglings all day long, constantly replenish them, take 4 or 5 bases, and move up to his Broodlord tech.
Absolutely, and Polt's going to try to slow that down. He's coming in with a drop right now, and this is really, meant to distract HyuN. HyuN is out on the map, active right now, but as this drop does come in, he's going to force HyuN's units to come home, killing off an Overlord. All right, that's a good start. He's going to work his way into the mineral line. Spinecrawler actually able to poke onto the high ground because of the beautiful creep spread we've seen out of HyuN.
That's right, and HyuN actually is queuing up a very, very large Zergling Baneling force at this stage of the game. He'll make a few Corruptors, there's the 6, and he can make one more and he'll be maxed out, but he'll get out there, he'll probably sacrifice a few of these Zerglings, try and catch a few units off guard, and then just delay these forces long enough so he can build up his Broodlord count.
Kevin, no Baneling speed here for HyuN, and Polt's trying to push it. Baneling speed's actually still a long way away.
Yeah.
+2 melee is also on the way in order to be able to catch up to the carapace upgrades. I think 3-3 would start around the same time, and an Adrenal Glands is also inbound. So, but HyuN is actually maybe in a good position here. Polt really moved down the ramp.
Ooh, yeah, but he's got to watch out because all these infestors are very clumped up. However, they get up some great fungal growths. Everything was surrounded, every single unit there for a second. A few of them were healed up by medevacs afterwards, but everything was caught in fungal growth. But you see the resilience of the siege tanks. So many of them very close to dying, but very few were actually targeted down. So Polt does some significant damage, and he knows he has to get damage done. He's actually dropping down in the bottom left-hand corner, and he's done a little bit of damage there. It looks like this will eventually get cleaned up, but not before it does a bit more damage.
Oh my god, this reinforcement train out of Polt. He's joining the small leftover units that he had with an incredibly large number of reinforcements, but notably no Vikings here as the Broodlords are now complete, but all the infestors for HyuN are gone, so he really can't prevent the Marines from stimming in. Polt's just going to pick off that hatchery, and looks like he's going to make his way out. HyuN's going to try to stop that, moving in with his Zerglings, also coming around the back for a flank here.
Oh, he really has to watch out, though, because Polt's catching up to the Broodlords. One fell immediately. The Banelings trying to filter their way in. Very nice pickup from Polt. Gets all of his Marines into a medevac, is able to start scooting away. Of course, no speed boost like in Heart of the Swarm, but that's all right. He may lose a command center in the process, though.
He may. The SCVs are narrowly going to save it. If the Zerglings had actually stayed, that command center would fall.
Oh, wow.
All the siege tanks for Polt are killed, and we have, guys, an even game once again with maybe HyuN having a small advantage. Oh, no, that hatchery was taken out. It's only now being rebuilt, of course. So this is a pretty tight game with the supplies tied up, but HyuN having a huge bank.
HyuN has a huge mineral bank at the moment, though, so his gas income is not quite where he'd want it to be. He was only on 3 bases. He wasn't planning on expanding to his 5th when his 4th had gone down, because I think there's a Marine or something over there to the left-hand side. In any case, it's a Banshee, actually, that has 2 kills to its credit and has been delaying that base for a while.
Oh, but Zerglings are engaging right now, managing to kill off a lot of the Marines. Polt tipping its supply down to 150. No siege tanks actually in position here, so these Lings are getting in some beautiful damage, and this is exactly what HyuN wants. He wants to trade minerals for valuable units.
But he just lost every one of his Broodlords.
Oh,
the Vikings were actually going completely uncontested for a while. 5 Broodlords have died. Only 1 remains. Oh! Banelings with a very nice connection, going to kill a couple of siege tanks with a follow-up of Zerglings here. So really, this is just kind of a brawl back and forth. Finally, we have some Corruptors up to the front. It'll be able to take out these Vikings. But man, those Vikings did serious damage to those Broodlords.
They did, killing off so much valuable resource there for HyuN. But this is an incredibly, as you said, brawl fest back and forth, slugging it out, these 2 players. Lots of siege tanks killed off, infestors thrown away by HyuN. Broodlords picked off, but he managed to kill siege tanks in the meantime. Incredibly back and forth. Polt now managing to finally secure this 4th base. He's going to make it into a planetary. And HyuN needs to make his way to a 5th here. He's proving that his infestors are not the cost-efficient units that they need to be if you're going to be tied on bases with a Terran.
Yeah, he absolutely needs a 5th base. And it looks like he's planning to take it down here at the bottom right. So would not be surprised to see one maybe queued up to the top left. It looks like it was. Another drone got killed here by this Banshee. So hopefully he'll shift over a couple of Corruptors and pick that off. That Banshee also serving to make sure that nothing can pick up on the vision of these drops that come through. So serving a bit of double duty here. We do have a Spore Crawler already in position. We'll see if that gets pulled away here in a second. No, he's actually just going to fly right on by.
Oh, this is really rough for HyuN because his hatchery accidentally didn't go down with the drone. There were Zerglings in the way. And now he's preoccupied because Polt's engaging him. And I think that HyuN could actually go a minute or 2 here without realizing that this hatchery isn't complete, because he's going to have to focus on his micro. Spore Crawler gets picked off. He's coming in with his Broodlords, now Corruptors. Need a micro. Nice fungal on some of these Vikings. He manages to pick off half of them.
Oh, nice. And he has transfusions available with very high energy queens, even transfusing up the corruptors as they move through to make sure that the Broodlords have the ability to start pushing this army back. Yes, that extractor went down again. Yes, we had, unfortunately, a couple of units die there for HyuN, but he doesn't lose the hatchery critically.
He doesn't, but now it's been a minute and a half, and that hatchery in the bottom would be complete, and he just starts it. So this is a little bit of a blow because he really needs gas right now, and he just simply put can't get it. You know, he's got 4,000 minerals. Okay, you can spend that so well on Zerglings, but Zerglings are actually only really good at being kind of fodder at this stage, or run by.
Fodder or follow-ups aren't bad either. Like, if you do significant damage, you take out a good portion of their army and you just want to crush and kill a base or something.
Yeah, very true.
They can be used for that, but you're right. I mean, there's not a lot of uses for them now. But this Broodlord army is getting quite large. It's up to, what, 8 now? And there's still a few more Corruptors to be able to turn into Broodlords whenever the time comes.
All right, not the largest Corruptor count, though.
No.
And that's going to make it pretty nice for these Vikings. Very nice splitting here, actually, out of Polt, making sure to not get those Vikings caught. Full stim out of Polt. It's time to engage. Fungal growth's going down on the left-hand side. Lings come forward, then fall back. The Broodlords continuing to kite here. Infestors, will they fungal the army of Polt? They do. Trapping Polt's units in place, but not a lot of Zerglings left here to accompany.
The Broodlords have taken quite a bit of damage up to this point so far, but they hadn't been killed for quite a long period of time. Now, finally, they're starting to go down in number as the energy has dropped off of all of these forces, but there's actually only 4 Marines left. That's not that much anti-air, and these even just 2 Broodlords that are left are going to be enough to be able to take out the rest of this army.
The craziest engagement. No Vikings left, of course, and all the reinforcements of Polt have to fall back. You're completely right, Kevin, but the hatchery falls again.
Yes.
Luckily for HyuN, the hatchery in the bottom right is now complete, so he'll be able to forward his drones over to there, and it looks like he's going to immediately try to counter here, but his Lings are not in a good position here as these Marines and Marauders are tucked away in this nice corner.
They are, but there is still a little bit of area around the back where they can be engaged on, and there's a very nice job of actually being, these Vikings are all being zoned out, so the Broodlords can get a position to start sieging up this base, and since there's no real anti-air on the field, there's only 14 Marines as a matter of fact, and they could fall pretty quickly.
This is
not a bad situation. Oh, they get right underneath the Broodlords, though. That's what I was looking for.
Yep. Yeah, there were no Zerglings, no Infestors to reinforce. His next 2 Broodlords are actually running forward as well. They throw off their volleys. Polt now knows that they are there, and he's going to be able to pick those Broodlords off as well. That was a critical error out of HyuN.
It was, but he's done a good job of limiting the economy over here at this base. He really needs to get this one started down here, though. We need to see some gas.
A lot of workers.
Yeah.
87 supply now for Polt, 122 for HyuN. Guys, this is not low supplies because of a base race. This is just low supplies because they keep killing each other so efficiently or inefficiently in the most ridiculous fights, honestly. I mean, all the Vikings die, and so the Marines are able to kill the Broodlords. Beautiful stuff, but then the Marines die, and Broodlords kill off the rest. Really cool stuff. Hatchery in the bottom right, though, is going to go down for HyuN, and this is a major blow to HyuN's economy.
Oh, yeah. A lot of drones falling there. Finally has the space reestablished over at the 4th. And how long has that Banshee been sitting there? 15 minutes in game, something like that? It finally gets taken out by Corruptors, so HyuN can take another base. And just having that Banshee there allowed Polt to be in one direction. He didn't have to be pulled across the map and denying bases off the left and the right and the left and the right. He could expend all of his forces without splitting them up to head towards the bottom right-hand corner. And that made his engagements that much more efficient.
Absolutely. You know, he didn't have to worry about dropping in the top left or anything. Some Zerglings are going to be stationed over there to deal with just that. Look at that. HyuN already has units in position to deal with Polt's incoming Marines, but a nice pickup there from Polt. Additional Marines will have to be sent. This is poising the opportunity for Polt to push forward. He's sieging up on the high ground outside this 4th base of HyuN.
There is a very large army here for HyuN, though, and how is he going to engage this? This is very critical. He starts forcing those forces back, and already that was a beautiful engagement. If he had gotten Banelings a little bit too far forward, Polt would have committed to that engagement.
Kevin?
Yeah?
There are no Vikings.
Not one?
A single Viking.
Wow. Okay, that could be a dead 5th then here in a second.
This is looking really grim for a moment for Polt. He needs to get up Vikings. He's making 4 at a time, but until those are on the field, he has virtually no way to combat the Broodlords as long as they have Infestor support. You know, Marines can kill Broodlords very well, but if there are Infestors on the field, they simply lock the Marines in place so that the Marines actually can't get under the Broodlords while they just chuck units at them.
Now, in a weird sort of way, usually when you get to the stage of the game, a Zerg player can get starved out very easily because they've probably taken 4 or 5 bases already, but the Terran player can lead more efficient engagements. It's kind of the opposite here, as a matter of fact. Polt is already down to 1/3 of the resources left on his 4th. He's finally established this 5th here in the top right-hand corner, but if HyuN can take that out, he'll actually be able to starve Polt out fairly easily. The problem is that his quality of army is not quite where he wants it to make such an aggressive move.
Yeah, but he's making lots of Vikings. He's even putting some Thor on the ground, and he has a huge drop headed around the top left-hand corner. A burrowed Zergling, though, is actually the unit that's going to spot this. And HyuN is actually not sending nearly enough units. There are 3 siege tanks with this, a number of Marauders and Marines.
Yeah, he needs to get inside of the natural very quickly. So looks like he's got a couple of Corruptors finally that are going to pick at it. No, Polt jukes, comes right back into the 4th. And that was a great maneuver as Polt sieges everything up, and he's going to be able to take out this hatchery pretty easily.
Yep, and that's a major blow once again to HyuN's economy. These guys just slugging it out, but now Polt is at 200 supply. He's going to have in a moment here 2 Thor on the ground. He's got 8 Vikings, 82 Marines, a very nice composition for Polt now. And, you know, there's a lot of Broodlords, and wow, there's actually a huge number of Vikings, or of Corruptors, excuse me, but I don't know, this is a tough fight to call. There's not a lot of supply for HyuN.
I agree, but here's the inherent advantage to what Polt can do. He can get in with small groups of units and split his opponent's forces up. Oh, but a very nice fungal growth catches everything here in the middle. He needs one more. Unfortunately, catches a medevac that didn't have any units inside of it. Wow, in fact, he hasn't killed any of the medevacs that have units inside of them.
That medevac actually got away. There's no queens in position for the Corruptors. Go back home. The Corruptors actually could have killed all of those medevacs, but they pull out of position, and now HyuN is dealing with a drop at his third base. This gas is unspeakably important. The medevacs will be cleaned up, but as they fall, well, let's actually point out that there were only 100 Vespene left on each of those extractors.
So maybe not unspeakably important, but yes, I agree.
For the moment they were, Kevin.
Yes.
For the moment they were.
Yeah, I was with you, though. I thought there was maybe like 1,000 left, but then I looked down at the clock. I'm like, wow, this game's been going really quick. We're 30 minutes in now.
Yeah.
And we still don't have... Polt is at an advantage right now. The economy of HyuN is a bit in shambles, but his quality of army is very good. And if he can effectively siege up Polt, then he's going to be in a decent spot, and this is far from over.
All right, Broodlord's coming forward right now. There are Vikings, but there are a lot more Corruptors than Vikings. The Thor getting in a little bit of splash there. Vikings coming forward. Where are the Infestors? If they fungal these Vikings, this game can easily be over in a second.
All right, well, these Broodlords have done an incredibly effective job at sieging up these Marines. That's a full stim, though. The Corruptors are falling like flies. Finally, a couple of fungal growths hit. The Banelings start rolling in, cleaning up a lot of Marines on the ground. Polt has just lost a huge amount of supply. Look at the transfusions hitting the Corruptors as he actually moves his forces up as well. And all the Vikings are going to die. All the Broodlords remain, and this base is going to be sieged up. A great maneuver from HyuN, but at the same time, Polt is making his way with a huge bioforce.
Oh, this is so important for HyuN, and it goes down. He cannot make any more Corruptors or any more Broodlords for at least 100 seconds to rebuild a Spire. A great play there from Polt that will slow down what may have been a cascading defeat.
Yeah, that's right. HyuN had the potential to possibly move in and outright win the game right there. As it stands, remember what I was talking about before, about Polt being starved out of this game quicker than HyuN can. HyuN hadn't taken this base for a very long time. It's still got about a third of its resources left. Polt is almost mined out of this base. He's trying his best to establish something here in the top left-hand corner, but he doesn't have it yet. Other than that, he's mined out. HyuN can take this base pretty short order if he shifts anything over there to take out the siege tanks, which now have 16 drone kills.
What? +2 on those siege tanks. They definitely got their weight in gold. Wow. But Corruptors and Broodlords and Infestors, Queens, Lings, everything that a Zerg composition wants is now in position to make a push here. A nice little run by to the top left before this can actually be made into a planetary. Marines are going to stim in and try to come and get in here, but all the mules and SCVs will be killed off before they can. Yeah,
very nice maneuver there from HyuN. These are totally expendable Lings, even with the lack of resources. But Polt utilizes this moment to move down towards the 4th base once again and try and get some damage in. But HyuN, very smartly, only kept half of his forces towards taking out those tanks and establishing that next base. And while these Marines are doing some damage, it's not going to be enough.
HyuN also at the same time sent 2 Broodlords to clean up those siege tanks that we were talking about earlier, and so now he will be able to retake this base after he kills off these Marines. Marine in the bottom right base as well, preventing HyuN from taking this. So both players now on one mining base, but Polt is nearly mined out, as you've been pointing out, Kevin, at this 4th.
That's right, and if this planetary fortress falls, it's forced to be canceled, it's lifted up again, more SCVs are going to die, and slowly but surely HyuN, even though he was at a big advantage and he was at a big disadvantage, is actually working his way right back into this.
An insane game number 3 here. Infested, the fungal growth hits all on those Marines, and they will be able to be cleaned up here. Very nice cost-efficient use, however, getting them tucked into this small corner. But at the same time, the Broodlord's going to be hitting the planetary. Where is Polt's army? It's well over here at the natural expansion, but he does not have anything on the ground.
No, absolutely not. That's 10 Vikings in the air against what? Oh, just 3 Corruptors, 6 Infestors, though. That's what's going to be doing the majority of the damage. Polt is going for a very classic Polt maneuver here, trying to do a counterattack. He's actually just going to gun down this hatchery right away and try and pick everything up.
Oh, no transfuses because the Queens are with the army. The hatchery goes down, and what was the definitive advantage that HyuN did hold is now gone.
Yes, but Polt actually, his intention there was to get in, lose about 5 or 6 Marines, pick off the hatchery, pick back up in the medevacs, run away. That didn't happen. He actually lost all 20 of the Marines he brought there, both of the medevacs, and he has no way to defend his subsequent bases. As a result, he has no economy coming in as soon as this planetary fortress dies, and it'll kill a few workers, but that's going to be about it, and it's going to force Polt into this all-in engagement.
Beautiful fungals here on the Marines. 19 workers remaining for Polt. HyuN at 100 supply. Is he going to finally take a game here in number 3 on Cloud Kingdom? It's looking like he might denies this base, and now Polt is back to pretty much not mining.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, really not mining. I mean, it looks like he finally did keep that planetary fortress. He's got
SCVs.
3 workers that are sitting on it. 6 in total? Yeah, not very good. So Polt looks like he is finally actually going to go down in this set, but it was quite a ride to get to this point, I have to say.
Goodness. Yeah, there's a roller coaster we have back home called Steel Force. I would compare this very much akin to that.
This was like Batman the Ride. If you, I don't know. I was a Six Flags fan.
I liked Batman
then
and
I went
Robin.
to Disney World and went back to Six Flags. I'm like, man, this is terrible.
Hey,
Anyway.
that rock and roller coaster is pretty good at MGM.
Yeah, I suppose so. What? I guess. We got a amusement park aficionado here. I'm impressed. All right, so this medevac is already neutralized. It's not going to get down anywhere. If it drops a couple of units, those will be cleaned up pretty quickly. So not the biggest deal in the world for HyuN. Really, he's just more cautious than anything else right now. It's not that he's trying to give his opponent ability to get back into this game. He's just biding his time. He wants to make sure, okay, I need to have enough corruptors so I can actually engage because I know he has a large number of Vikings, and that's pretty much all that's left. If he can take that out, he's pretty well positioned to take this game, and he knows it.
Yeah, he's pretty much, it's denying mining. I mean, you just prevent Polt from mining, you win. Because he knows that this base from Polt is nearly mined out, and he knows he's mining more than Polt. And he's eventually, I think, once he gets the minerals, he should take an extra base. Doesn't want to waste these banelings on the command center, of course.
No.
Infested Terrans will be able to hit it even if it lifts.
Yep, and it's going to light on fire, and it's unlikely that it'll get back to any SCVs to be able to repair it. So that's a goner. 1 planetary fortress, 2 orbital commands remain. Polt's not really attacking anywhere else per se. Like I said, it's just HyuN making sure, okay, I need to have a mining base. I need to probably establish another hatchery, and then I can move for the killing blow.
I like the decision out of Polt, though. He's going for Ravens right now. And if there's any unit that's going to win this game for you, it is the Terran equivalent of the Infestor.
Yes.
You know,
especially now that you don't have to research for those seeker missiles or anything like that.
Yeah. So the point being, of course, behind that, guys, you know, Ravens their energy units, they actually don't have an attack.
Right.
They just, everything they do, they use energy. And so the energy regenerates. So if you could keep Ravens alive forever, they can actually kill an infinite number of units. Whereas other units, you know, will guaranteed take damage when they fight against other military units.
And that command center did actually stay alive. SCV got up there and repaired it, and very soon it's not going to be on fire anymore once it crosses the 500 hit point threshold. This Marine is an executioner here, taking out drones one by one. Unfortunately, he's going to be taken out.
All right, so Polt at this point, let's actually, I mean, he's got 30 Marines. There are 6 Infestors and 17 Banelings, so they'll make quick work of that. 5 Corruptors do not deal that well, actually, versus 7 Vikings. So the Infestors and Queens will be needed in order to defend the Broods, but I'm in agreement, Kevin. It's really tough for Polt to be able to bring it back from this point. He's also at a 30 supply deficit.
Now, I will say, though, that this is still kind of a cautious position for HyuN. His army, if for some miraculous reason Polt were able to kill HyuN doesn't have an ability to reproduce this. He's got no economy at the moment. He's totally mined out everywhere. He's long-distance mining until he gets another hatchery up down in the bottom right-hand corner. So if Polt can find a way to win a big engagement here, he can actually stifle his opponent enough to be able to take this game.
This is positively a throwable game.
Yes.
If HyuN makes a major blunder, especially with these Broodlords, the game is likely over.
Yes.
He cannot lose the Broodlords without, you know, killing Polt's army.
Yeah, you used a good word there, throwable, because I think we're in agreement. HyuN's in a really good spot here. He's got a pretty good grasp on this game, but if he gets an unfavorable engagement here, Polt can still kind of squeeze his way back into it.
Only 2, or there are 3 Queens actually here able to transfuse. So, you know, the Broodlord took a little bit of damage there, but HyuN's just able to transfuse it and get it back up to full health. While Polt actually repairs his Viking. Everything is just so important right now, so we see these players giving minute details to their units.
All right, so hatchery in the top left-hand corner is reestablished, and HyuN's going to be able to start mining from that very soon. But really, a couple of Marines over there would be able to shut that down completely.
I'm loving the creep spread right now under the planetary fortress.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Oh, very nice.
Nice touch, actually. All right, so it looks like we may have a little bit of an engagement. Polt actually trying to go for this. He was trying to lead with the Seeker Missile-equipped Ravens. Actually drops down a point defense drone. Seeker Missile hits on top of a couple of the Broodlords. Broodlords are actually taking some significant damage. But now the Fungal Growths and the Banelings start to hit from behind. Polt down to just 30 supply, and it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, there's GG. HyuN wins his first game of this best of 11.
Game number 3 rather, does end with a victory. The first victory for Quantix HyuN, and he's going to get himself on the scoreboard. And you know, I said it in a tweet beforehand, Kevin. I was like, 2-0. I did not expect it like this. HyuN's going to come out fighting in game number 3.
That's right. So it's a 2-1. It's as close as it can be after 3 games. We still have up to 8 more remaining, though. And if they're all like that, we're going to be great. So, guys, we're going to run to a commercial break. When we get back, it'll be time for game number 4 of this IPL Fight Club Heavyweight Championship of the World. Don't go anywhere.